He was caught off guard by the bombing in Syria and also the bombing of a Catholic church in Gaza.
He backed Bibi in war, but now Trump's left cleaning up the wreckage. A Catholic church in Gaza, a strike in Damascus. Netanyahu bombs first and apologizes later. But how many accidents before an ally becomes a liability? Is Trump finally losing control of his strongest Middle East card? President Donald Trump found himself blindsided last week by Israeli military actions that have deepened concerns within his administration about Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's increasingly unpredictable behavior. The incidents in both Gaza and Syria prompted immediate phone calls from Trump to Netanyahu, signaling growing tensions between the two leaders despite their public alliance. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed the president's surprise during a press briefing on July 22nd, stating,
Well, look, the president enjoys a good working relationship with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and stays in frequent communication with him. He was caught off guard by the bombing in Syria and also the bombing of a Catholic church in Gaza, which, as you know, I addressed at my briefing last week. And in both accounts, the president quickly called the prime minister to rectify those situations.
The most immediate flashpoint came on July 17th, when Israeli forces struck Gaza's only Catholic church, killing 3 people and injuring 10 others, including the parish priest who had maintained regular contact with the late Pope Francis. Simultaneously, Israeli airstrikes on Syrian government buildings in Damascus caught the Trump administration off guard at a particularly sensitive moment. The president has been working to rebuild relationships with Syria's new leadership under former rebel leader Ahmed al-sharaa, whom Trump met in Saudi Arabia last May, and for whom he lifted long-standing U.S. sanctions.
Secretary Rubio intervened when it came to Syria. We saw a de-escalation there. And as for the bombing of the Catholic Church in Gaza, the Prime Minister did put out a statement saying this was an accident and they deeply regretted that action on behalf of the State of Israel following his conversation with the President.
Behind the scenes, frustration with Netanyahu has reached a boiling point among Trump's advisors. One White House official told Axios,
Bibi acted like a madman. He bombs everything all the time. This could undermine what Trump is trying to do.
The sentiment was echoed by a second senior U.S. official who pointed to the pattern of incidents.
The feeling is that every day there is something new. What the fuck?
A third administration official characterized Netanyahu's behavior in stark terms.
Netanyahu is sometimes like a child who just won't behave.
Leavitt attempted to maintain diplomatic language while acknowledging the president's concerns about the escalating violence.
The president's message on this conflict we've seen in the Middle East taking place for far too long that has become quite brutal, especially in recent days. You've seen reports of more people dying. The president never likes to see that. He wants the killing to end.
The strain comes at a critical juncture for Middle East peace efforts. Trump had high expectations for Netanyahu's 4-day Washington visit earlier this month, hoping it would yield progress on a Gaza ceasefire that would secure hostage releases and increase humanitarian aid to the besieged territory. Trump repeatedly stated his expectation for a ceasefire announcement that week. Those hopes were dashed when Netanyahu departed without any deal. Nearly a week after mediators submitted the latest ceasefire and hostage release proposal to Hamas, all parties remain in limbo, awaiting a response from Gaza's leadership. Hamas issued a statement Monday saying,
"We are exerting all our efforts and energies around the clock to reach an agreement."
The Syrian situation has added another layer of complexity. Israeli strikes targeted the capital Damascus and the Druze-majority city of Sweda, where violent clashes between local militia and Bedouin tribesmen have killed more than 1,260 people, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Israel justified its actions by claiming Syrian army convoys had entered a demilitarized zone, though Syria denies military participation in attacks on the Druze minority. A US-brokered ceasefire was implemented Friday, largely holding despite isolated gunfire. Syrian authorities began evacuating Bedouin families from Sweda on Monday as tensions gradually subsided. The incidents have shaken interim President al-Sharaah's government, which has pledged to protect minorities in a country devastated by 14 years of war. Trump had praised al-Sharaah's leadership and removed a bounty on the former rebel leader after he toppled Bashar al-Assad's government in December. Leavitt emphasized Trump's commitment to regional stability.
The president wants to see peace, and he's been pretty clear about that, and our national security team continues to work on this every single day, but of course it's a very complicated situation.
Despite the growing internal skepticism, Trump has avoided public criticism of Netanyahu. 6 US officials told Axios that while this week ended with significantly more alarm about Netanyahu's regional policies, the president's personal position remains unclear. The relationship between Trump and Netanyahu, while strategically important, has long been characterized by mutual wariness rather than personal warmth. Their alliance strengthened following Trump's decision to join Israel's air campaign against Iran last summer, culminating in Netanyahu's dramatic presentation of a Nobel Peace Prize nomination letter during a White House dinner this month. However, recent events suggest that even this improved relationship may not withstand continued unilateral Israeli actions that complicate Trump's broader Middle East strategy.